it will be about diversity and inclusion, about extra resilience, and ambidexterity. We will explain you what this means. And so a few words about myself. I'm Shcheglova-Goldfinch, and I'm advisor for regulators, European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, and we are serving different local authorities, and in particular National Bank of Ukraine. And so I'm setting up different innovation hubs, regulatory sandboxes, digital sandboxes, and generally doing any transformations inside of regulators. So my panelists today, it's Sophie Gerber, co-CEO Traction, it's Trade Reporting Simplified, it's RegTech Solution, and director of Sophie Grace, which is a legal and compliance firm focusing on Australian regulations. And from myself, so I absolutely realized what does mean RegTech and how important is that, how sophisticated as well. And so it maybe requires specific any leadership skills, and we will be speaking about later. And my next panelist is Oksana Remez. It's Senior Business Development Executive Finalto Group. It's financial services provider focused on liquidity, risk management, financial technology and brokerage solutions. And Oksana is an experienced leader, used to work at various markets and under quite tough circumstances. So we will be speaking today about these different angles of leadership and modern leadership, and what are any shifts and needs for businesses today, and which leaders are required on the market. And girls, before starting our questions, please, the floor is yours about yourself. Just few words, your leading role, your team, your challenges at the moment.
I'll go first. Nice to meet you all. My name is Oksana Remez. I work for Finalto Group. I actually started in the brokerage world 12 years ago. I actually had this big dream going into banking just after the university, but that was just the financial crisis. And I rediscovered the financial services within the brokerage world. So that's how it started in 2011. First I started on the retail side. From 2013, I progressed into institutional role, and my big career changes happened in 2017 when I was offered to lead and spin off the Finalto 360 broker-in-the-box solution here in the UK. Which was a full-on blown technology solution for the brokers wanting to set up their firm. However, due to political, personal, company changes, after I returned from the maternity, I changed my core role to going back to business development and selling our core services, which is liquidity, risk management, and the clearing stuff. So that's me.
Thank you, Sophie.
So I started off being I did a law degree and became a lawyer, and then started the Sophie Grace business, which is a compliance and regulatory consulting business in Australia, and did a lot of work with FX brokerages as part of that business. As the transaction reporting regime came out in Australia, we realised there was a really big need for people to have some assistance with the transaction reporting requirements. So we set up Traction as a separate entity, and now it's evolved with its own life of doing transaction reporting. And it's ended up being a significant business in the UK and Europe and a couple of other countries, not just in Australia. But when Oksana was talking about what she set out to be, it's funny because I definitely didn't set out to be doing this. I think originally I wanted to be a journalist, like where you were for a while, and then I wanted and then I wanted to work in fashion, and now I'm here. So I think that's a great question to actually ask people, what did you think you wanted to be, and would you still want to do that? And I wouldn't want to work in fashion now, but that's
I graduated recently, maybe like Oksana as well, those Oxford Leadership Program and introduction sessions was very nice. And the first question was, what was your dream like career dream, and this is the same. And girls, maybe, yeah. What was your like dream?
Yeah, I wanted to be the
Yes.
next Anna Wintour.
Journalist.
And that's great because, I mean, no one reads magazines anymore. I haven't read a magazine for like 15 years, so I don't know what she's doing. I'm glad I'm not working for a dying industry. Trade reporting's going up.
As I said, I really wanted to go into banking somehow. I guess when I was little, my mom was a role model because she used to go, like, she had her own businesses and she used to go to the banks, and she was always like saying, like, there is like, it's a very good institutions to work for, and I just had that at back of the mind that actually I should go for banking, and I was really good at math, and I finished the financial degree here, but yeah, it happened what it happened, and I ended up in the brokerage world, which is quite good, which turned out quite good as well for me.
You know, just please don't just mocking me after my words right now, but my dream was to be Egyptologist and to deal with mummies. And right now I'm dealing with regulators.
So you're doing the
transforming
same
them
thing.
from, I'm like
Still
disrupting.
dealing with mummies. Yeah.
And just recently on the panel discussion on AI stage, the moderator just asked us about what is your just thoughts, how you would like to be recorded by AI in any history. And I said, okay, like any disruptor that changed current regulation into any human-faced. And maybe, to transform those mummies to something human-faced. Okay, well, let's switch to our discussion and our main questions. The first one is about diversity and inclusion. It seems to be like the essential for businesses today, and just to provide any balance of voices and diversity of thoughts, and very important to make any breakthroughs in your business. But it seems to me that not all businesses follow this principle right now. So the question to you, what is the balance of voices in your companies? Are you facing this like challenge, the whole challenge on the market with like diversity and inclusion problem, and how do you manage this?
And I'll first just few thoughts of my own thoughts on this, and then I'll speak about Finalto. From my perspective, I think we need to think that the companies cannot always have an access to the human resources, like very diverse human resources. So I think the companies kind of like tend to split between those that can get them and go in and acquiring those employees, and also the others that cannot really have the diverse employees, but they still are trying. And then I think there is a third part of the companies that are doing it just for the trend, which is questionable. I wouldn't really want to be hired because a company needed a white female as a part of the team. I would rather be hired because of my skill set. So that's kind of like my thoughts on that. But of course, I'm a big opponent for the diversity and having a variety of people within the company, especially for those companies that operate globally, that penetrate different markets. As for Finalto, we are regulated, we are represented in more than 10 countries, and obviously pretty much in every country where we are regulated, we have a separate company with the local people, local speakers, and we are trying to employ the variety of the employees that have different skill sets, different views,
Backgrounds, cultures, and everything.
Yes,
and it brings like something like different and new and fresh to the whole vision.
Yeah, and I think like probably we could take myself as an example, because I'm, as you can hear, I'm not British, but I came over from Ukraine 17 years ago, and within 2 years, when I was initially employed, I had quite a big presence in our Baltic region, so that helped. And then later on in my leadership role, I led the IT department in Ukraine, which also was quite a big help because of my understanding of the culture, languages, and I think that's if we continue, if our company continues doing that, and that's what we've done for some time, we'll continue being successful. So
If to consider the whole structure, what is the percentage in your organizational structure females? Approximately, maybe you're feeling.
It changed a lot with the years. I think in the last, so even like if we speak about finance magnates, I think I started coming probably like 10 years ago. I was probably one of in the company that would come. And now we have 3-4 different, so I don't know, I would say 30-40%, but still like in sales and kind of like customer facing, it's still the majority is the male dominated.
When I started deep diving into fintech around 10 years ago, and I just in my memory just fixed this discussion with one guy in Amsterdam in any big conference, fintech conference, and he said, okay, well, fintech, it's male, white, and wealth.
and here we are.
Here we are, like 3 of us. Yeah, speaking about diversity. And yes, Sophie, please.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of Oksana's comments. It has been a difficult recruitment market, but I think one of the good things about COVID is it has helped a lot of companies to open up. And yeah, I also agree that you don't want to hire based on metrics. I think some people need metrics. We're much smaller companies, or we're a very small company. And you want to hire the right person for the job, the person who's going to do the best job. You definitely don't want to have someone sitting there thinking they've been hired because of one of their characteristics, the female or some sort of ethnicity. So I definitely subscribe to get the right person. But what the right person is that's the question that you have to answer. Certainly when I started my businesses, I thought the right person would be someone like me, if I could just duplicate myself. And I think most people who know me would think that is not a good idea. We definitely don't need another one of you. And so hiring people who are not like me, who have complementary skills, it has been a hard process, but it's an important process. So yeah, we've ended up, especially with Traction, with quite diverse nationalities and locations and backgrounds and technical skills as well. But that leads to fun things. I mean, we had an expo in Cyprus a couple of months ago, which some of us would have been there for. The fun thing is, with the diversity of backgrounds, you have diversity of languages. And so when a Chinese person comes up to our stand, you say, great, talk to our Chinese staff member, great, talk to our staff member who speaks this other language. And clients like that, but our clients are diverse. I mean, the UK is a diverse place. There's a lot of white British men in the UK, but there's a lot of other people. And in a lot of the markets where we work, there's just a lot of different people. So I think to be successful with dealing with your customers, you have to be diverse.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. Yes,
I just wanted to compliment on what Sophie just said. I guess you learned as well from other people, right, who were opposite to you. So you learned the different skill sets. You learned the other opinions. Yeah, difficult. Sometimes you have to. Okay, agree, disagree, but I think that makes you, I don't know, tougher or more mature, resilient. But yeah, I agree.
I'm just curious, are you supporting any initiatives like focused on diversity, or it's like organically happens to your companies being diverse?
For us, it's been organic, definitely. It hasn't been. But I mean, Traction has, I think, 26 staff now. So it's probably, we're just too small. We don't have a dedicated HR function yet. That's probably something that's going to come in the next 5 to 10 to 15 people. But the next 5 to 10 to 15 people might be in the next year to 18 months. So yeah, we're definitely not. Finalto probably is the one that's got more of a set process.
We have about 200 people. A large amount of our employees are IT employees, and it just happens that majority of the IT employees are male, which is fine, and it happens that they are based in Eastern Europe, which is also, I guess, the norm. But here in the UK, in Cyprus, again, kind of like going back to what I said, I think where the human resources, the diverse human resources availability, where there is an availability for the variety of the human resources, we are trying to obviously employ different people. But just in some countries, you just don't have that. So we just have to go with what we have. And predominantly, I would say we are looking for the skill set and then trying to have the rainbow of all the people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as I say, Britain is a diverse place. Australia is a diverse place. You can't set up an office in China and then look for a diversity of ethnicities. There's no foreign people really in China, so you have to be realistic as well. I agree with that.
Great. So let's switch to our different angle, which is ambidexterity. And it's after lunchtime, so I would like to energize a bit our audience. So please answer if anyone knows what does mean ambidexterity. Oh, great. Great, amazing. Amazing, cool.
Maybe they don't. They only put up one hand. They should have put up two.
Okay. Do you know? What would you like to answer? Yeah? It's fine for you. Yeah. Great. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, so it's like it comes from physical words, just equal operation of your left and right hand, but it's quite a modern approach right now for leadership. And it means to run your operational and at the same time to look into the future. And so the brightest example on this is Amazon and Amazon Web Service. The unit looking into new opportunities and growth opportunities. So the question to you ladies, do you have any specific units, any teams dedicated to look into the future? Or is your role maybe? And so do you see any values on running business and the same thinking about the future a few steps ahead?
I'll just talk really quickly. I think it is an important point. It's not a term I had heard before agreeing to come on this panel, but it's difficult to be running a business and then dealing with change. And I think everybody in this industry has been running businesses and dealing with a lot of change. We do transaction reporting. The rules are always changing. Brokers are trying to run a brokerage, but the rules are always changing. They're constantly having to move things. So I think we're definitely a group of people who aren't standing still by any stretch, but that has also meant some of the core components of the industry have stayed the same. So everyone's still using MODERATOR for why? Maybe it's because we've been too busy doing other things to move on to a new trading platform because we're dealing with regulation. That's not meant to discredit MT4. It's a great platform. But you look at and you think some of these things that you would think have evolved haven't evolved because we're dealing with so many different things. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts. But generally, I would say being ambidextrous to run your business and deal with future is difficult. It's difficult as a leader, and it's difficult for staff as well. We have a lot of staff who are dealing with a lot of transaction reporting rule changes coming in next year. There's changes in the UK, there's changes in the EU, ASIC, Singapore as well. And we've got staff who are trying to do their day-to-day business and they're also trying to plan for future changes. So it's not just as a leader, it's as everyone in our business is trying to implement this, and it's difficult.
Do you arrange any brainstorms about your future steps and how to be ahead?
So my co-CEO, Quinn, he's great at brainstorming. He's definitely got more skills at that than I do, and is constantly thinking and planning for the future. And yeah, we're constantly having to evolve our product, not just from the things that are forced on us, but also the things that we want to do with our business. Yeah, so we are constantly looking at where can we take our product to, what is it that we want to implement, what do we want to take from other people, how can we achieve that? I mean, take from other people as in other products that we can absorb in because we don't have the time to build them ourselves. Yeah.
I can prove it's quite tricky for RegTech companies because I'm collaborating with RegTech sector, being inside of the regulators, and it's quite difficult to be a few steps ahead. But when RegTech companies come to regulators asking any question, what is the next in your regulation, and what regulators say that we cannot provide any like preferences to you and this confidential information, and you need just to predict what can be next step and how to be ahead. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. Oksana.
So when you asked me the question, ambidexterity, right? I had to. It was.
Right.
I had to. I'll be honest. I had to Google it, and the Google says that organizational ambidexterity refers to an organization's ability to be efficient in its management of today's business while looking out for the new opportunities. Right. When I read it, I was like, yeah, it makes sense, and it actually sounds. In a simple words, as just running your SWOT analysis on, I don't know, quarterly basis, on a yearly basis, depends obviously on the company, on the sector you are in. So I kind of like looked at it from this perspective. You normally would have to run, you would need to know what is your strengths, where are your weaknesses, where is the opportunities, where the threats are. And then once you run this analysis, you actually know where your core capabilities are. Once you know where your core capabilities are, you can be efficient. Once you're efficient, then you actually have you can release some of the sometimes it's stuff, sometimes it's resources, sometimes it's capital to go and actually look out for the new opportunities, maybe go to different markets, maybe even go to different industries. So that's like my original thoughts on it. And what Finalto has been doing, we obviously, like for the past, what you've mentioned about MetaTrader, the brokerage world hasn't really changed. So I've been in it 12 years. When I started, we were good at the liquidity in the risk management. 10, 15 years later, we're still there. We're still doing the same thing. But what we are looking into is how is the market changing? So how can we adapt for the future? And we obviously, since all the regulation is coming in, but it's also like transactional reporting. It's the speed of transactions, it's an amounts and volumes of the data that have to go through. So we are constantly upgrading our infrastructure. We are looking at the new markets because the geography for the brokers has changed as well. So now that Europe is mature now, lots of brokers are going more Southeast Asia, Latin America, and to plan for that and to go into these markets, you just need to make sure that you have this golden balance. And to be honest, like this golden balance is about everything, right? It's the balance in life. It's the same balance at work that should be present. Being able to retain your customers now and then look out for the new prospects. So in terms of Finalto, we are trying to upgrade and make sure that our technology, our services are stable and looking into the new horizon. So when in 2017 we went into technology, that was our diversification. We thought like, okay, at that time the market needed the broker-in-the-box solution. Then the cryptos came around. Okay, we had to add cryptos. Now we see the pop-up of prop trading firms. Okay, we are looking at how can we accommodate the prop trading firms. Who knows what's next? We're just trying to be open. Well, I know actually what's next on the agenda for us. It's DMA accesses because lots of customers actually want to have an access not to the OTC instruments. They actually want to execute directly on the market. So that's what we are looking into as well. So we're constantly looking into new, and that's how you would grow. That's how you would emerge. I guess for every company. The balance would be just different, maybe not 50-50, maybe it's, for us, I think it's more retaining and building those relationships. So I guess for us, it's maybe 70-30, trying to retain the customer base that we have and then just innovate and go into different markets. I don't know, maybe super apps, that's going to be our another thing, because that's a big thing for the digital banking, trying to offer not non-traditional, but banking services and trading services. So maybe that's next step. We have looked at that as well. So we're ahead of a game. I wouldn't say there is like a specific person or team, but in Finalto, we're quite open. So whoever comes up with the idea, or we also listen a lot to the customers. If they are asking a lot on having a particular service, then we are evaluating internally whether we can do it or not and how we can do it.
You know, I know that some companies, they arrange in quite interesting formats, how employees to share their bright ideas. Someone just put any boxes, just share over here. Someone like arranging any brainstorms or something else. Do you have any specific format how to inspire, how to evolve your regular staff in this sharing bright ideas, brainstorming, or something else, or it just again organically?
I guess it's organic. I guess it happens pretty much every time after each expo. Then it happens sometimes at during the meetings. So we have the management meetings where we share the ideas, where we relay what we heard from the customers, where the market is moving. So I wouldn't say there is only one way how we do it. It's the variety of ideas, how they come up. But yeah, there is not like a streamlined process, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately.
Okay. Today my morning started from 2 hours podcast listening to Elon Musk, and it was about aliens, war conditions, war nature of the whole world, and absolute uncertainty. And so I just thought, okay, it's good connection to our panel discussion, because we need to speak about extra resilience right now, and it's just about that. So who knows what will be next? We see this file of OpenAI and any AI growth and your challenges and lost jobs and something like that. So I know that you have different challenges as well in your operational activities, in your company's activities. So what is extra resilience for you? Have you had any cases that extra resilience would be needed, and how you manage it?
Well, I feel like every day is an extra resilience day for us. But I mean, we've been doing transaction reporting for 8 years, and there's been such a big movement in the market over time. Every year seems to throw up some big something, whether it's a trade repository leaving the market, a new trade repository coming into the market, is something that I think we're going to see in the next little while. But that's difficult, because that's a whole operational change. Then there's totally brand new regulations that come in, these rewrites, competitors going out of business, competitors coming into business. So yeah, every day is a resilience day, because like we said, we're trying to run our businesses, but you're also trying to make sure that you don't become null and void as well. But then just generally running a business, if you take a step back from those macro things, every day is a new person, a new issue that can arise, new bugs that you see in the system, new tweaks that need to be made to processes. So that feels difficult sometimes. So yeah, it does take a lot of resilience running a business on multi-levels.
Oksana?
As you said, it's not just being resilient, you have to be extra resilient nowadays. I think, again, looking at Finalto, we had an office in Ukraine, we had an office in Israel. We are regulated in 5 different jurisdictions, so it's just a number of issues that can come up is actually quite big. So we have to be resilient on technology side, we have to be resilient on leadership side, and we have to be also resilient on the mental side. So what we found is that sometimes you can resolve the technical issue, sometimes you can lead. The other times you just have to have this reassurance for your clientele, for your staff, that the things are going to be back to normal at some point. So yeah, it's like this extra resilience goes into too many forms now.
Could you provide just a few examples, maybe, being faced with these cases like in Ukraine, in Israel as well? So what are real steps of your company needed to manage all this?
In reality, what we've done with an issue in Ukraine, we had more than 100 people there. We actually have an office in Bulgaria. So physically, our colleagues actually went to the border, drove our colleagues, hosted them at some point at homes. Some of the colleagues stayed or moved to the other countries. So that's what happened with Ukraine. In Israel, it was slightly different. We just completely switched to the remote working because we know that people could still move around. We notify all the partners, we notify all the employees that you might not get to respond in a timely manner because of X, Y, and Z issues. So we do that. Technology-wise, we are trying to make sure that we have always a failover, that all of our third-party technology providers or partners are of a good level, that they have on their side, they have some disaster recovery plans. Ourselves, we have a disaster recovery plan and even a team, an entire team that looks into this. We have a team who is looking against any cyber attacks, phishing emails. So it just, when we speak about the resilience, I feel like, as you said, like every day is a different challenge. It could be, but as you say, like if you want to make the world better, start from yourself. So start at least filtering from the emails, being mentally stable, and then the company will help with the rest.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, I think there needs to be an acceptance that not everyone is going to be the extra resilient person. That's not going to be everyone within the organisation. Some people are going to flip out. So that when we come back to sort of the leadership concept, there's a process of accepting that that's not going to be the job of everyone. And that's okay, but making sure you have processes and escalations in place to deal with how something can be dealt with, and building the resilience around people, and that's also just a factor of people come in at different stages in their career. They have different personalities, different objectives. They don't have as much experience, so building resilience is probably definitely more of a top-down than a bottom-up type of function that you need to build within the business.
I would add as well that National Bank of Ukraine's regulatory sandbox was launched from shelters by regular staff being located there, and they was started in February. Our launch time was February as well, but it was launched months later, just 1 month later. And it's first global case for the kind of innovation hub of regulator to be launched under war conditions. And so when I presented this case for 40 plus regulators this May in FCA, so they've been impressed. How is it possible to do? And it's like real life right now. And who knows what will be next. Great, and maybe just concluding our panel discussion, because we have 7 minutes. What is the next for you in upcoming year, and next steps like a leader for your companies?
For us, we're definitely still on an expansion path, so we've still got a lot more people to hire, a lot more to bring in. I mean, we're want to get like Finalto and have dedicated teams just for disaster recovery. That would be amazing. Be so good. But we deal with what we have, and we're a much smaller firm. So it's the hiring and integrating what Quinn and I are focusing on, and I'm focusing on for the Sophie Grace business as well, is empowering people to take on responsibility. So it's constantly stepping back from parts of the business that we've taken a lot of time and done a lot of ourselves, and letting go of that and empowering other levels of the organisation to do that. And that's not always simple. And I think a lot of people find that in different aspects of their job. And I think there's also, we just have a constant process of recalibrating responsibilities because we're growing quickly. What people have in their job description at the beginning of the year, by the end of the year, maybe they've achieved more than that, maybe they've achieved less than that. We've certainly found some people we've set them a task to do something, but events have overtaken them. And so just being realistic about what they're going to do, what they can do, and adjusting that. And that's difficult for staff as well, being involved in that type of thing. A lot of people, you just want to know what your job is, and the sands are shifting. So in a growing organisation, we're trying to be respectful and patient with that process. But yeah, that's where we're putting our focus. So bringing people up, constantly moving their job descriptions around, and that's the fun of it. There's so much opportunity for us and for people who work with us. But yeah, that's where resilience and ambidexterity come into it.
Good.
For Finalto, I think I've touched on a few points. We feel that the brokerage world hasn't really changed much, and we are really looking into the new, not just markets, but new services that we can provide. And so we are looking into open banking, how the digital banking can complement. Either we can complement the digital banking, or digital banking services can complement us. Our offering. We're also looking into the DMA. We're looking into different markets. So we're kind of working through a few strategies. Personally, for me, I love learning. I've done a number of courses, and I believe that anything that you do, whether it's a cooking course, you learn to work with a team, with other people. You just learn the skills and then you reapply them. I've done a number of different fintech courses, doing some cybersecurity courses. So for me, literally for me, it will be more about learning, and also probably doing a bit of coaching / psychological and mental step up. I think as a recent mom, it has changed my view on the world. It's a bit of a personal thing, but it did impact how I perform at work, how I look at people, how I communicate, and I guess I became more empathetic, because before it was more about growth, let's do it. And now I'm kind of okay, we don't really have to be running ahead all the time. Sometimes we have to stop. We have to be mentally stable. We have to be planning well, short term, long term, and then just executing those tasks.
Great. And cooking, it was nice note. And for myself, I would mention as well that it's to keep on AI governance in financial sector, which is my passion right now, and to develop digital sandbox, really. And then to keep on the floristry passion and to develop it further. And yes, I love cooking as well. It's from previous panel, but it was inspired me. Thank you so much for amazing panel discussion. Thanks the audience. And we have 1 minute. Maybe anyone just have any question to us? Okay, good. Thank you so much. Have a nice day today. Thank you.
Thank you.